he brings in Madonna into our change room. So he basically took a trouser and a top off, so he was in a bra and naked. And she jumped into the communal bath. And I was in the shower, and I was thinking, I can't miss this opportunity. So I just ran. dove head first.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of RugbyPass Offload with me, Marc Edwards, joined as always by our comedy duo still putting their bodies on the line every week. Glasgow Warriors and Scotland forward Ryan Wilson and Bristol Bears prop Max Latham. Joining us later on the show, ex-Newcastle, Stade Francais and England Sevens captain, Ollie Phillips. How are we doing, boys?
All good, thank you very much. Tuesdays, worst days of the week, aren't they, Max? Especially for you, mate. We were close, but you boys got another hammer in. But Tuesdays, look at the state of me. Look at my face. That's a day of mauling. Like, look at the lip. Lip's gone, split open, mauling, racking and mauling. Oh, there's nothing worse.
We've got the Friday game coming, so we got the Tuesday off, big fella.
Oh,
God for that. I needed it.
Talk to us about Monday, though, mate. I bet it was tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty. It was straight. It was quite optimistic though. Like it was chipper. It was about more like self-awareness and accountability and just knowing like where we've come from. Those kind of vibes, you know. No like crisis meetings just yet, right? It's all still very, very positive. So
I was asking around about Pat, and I've heard he likes quite a long meeting. Is that true? There's some long meetings going on?
Yeah. There's some tasty meetings, lots of analysis. It's weighty.
Yeah, like a full game analysis, or
pretty much. I've been. Yeah, you don't like that? Is that not? You're not a student of the game.
They're the worst. They're the ones where you're sat there and the eyes are going, and you're more focused on keeping your eyes open and not falling asleep than what's happening on the screen. And then they're like, "Come to you, Max. What do you think here?" And you're like,
and you're like
focusing on staying awake,
and you're like panic. He always picks out like Neezy Adiolokan because he's always like capped down at the back, just sneezing. Maisie, I see some weary eyes over there. Wake up! And you're just like, everyone's just like,
yeah, panic. Oh,
and he's always getting people to do like, get up and change chairs. Always talk about things we're saying. He's got some good tricks up his sleeve to keep everyone involved in the meeting. It's not just like you sit there and just glaze over. But yeah,
nothing worse than that. How are you, Marc? Anyway.
Very well, boys. Very well, boys. What sort of tricks are we talking about, Max? Let a couple more out for us.
He'll get like a guy, one of the like team clowns, Toby Fricker up, and it'll be like Toby says. So Toby will go up and try and catch everyone out by doing like Toby says, stand up. Toby says this, and then obviously if Toby doesn't say Toby says before the statement, then you're out. Yeah, he's trying to keep everyone in. It's all very base level, but it works. You're like, I'm in. I'm locked in.
That's when you know your meetings are too long. That you're having to do that. Like if you know it's gone too long, like, right, get up, change chairs. Yeah. You're like, right, well, that means we've been in there too long, so let's get out. Everyone's dying for a piss. Let's out of here. You need to have a word with Pat.
Oh, I'll be sure to do that.
That's definitely not happening. Yeah. Ryan, you kicked off your URC campaign at Ulster. It was an epic match for the neutral, but Warriors sadly going down 35-29. Close, but no cigar.
Yeah, it was close, wasn't it? It was a tough one to take. When you're in the game and you should have won, they're the more frustrating ones. I wouldn't rather get hosed like Max did at the weekend. I'd rather be in touch and distance. 2 points going over there though at Kingspan. It's not a bad result for us to get something out of it. But we probably should have snuck it at the end. But it was a good old game of rugby. Throw the ball about in front of I think it was about 15,000, 10 to 15,000. Got some abuse from the sidelines. Could just hear my name get shouted, and then people shouting random stuff. Tried to switch off to it, but it did make me laugh.
Anything in particular that comes out?
No. It was just like I could just hear people shout rather than just some sort of abuse. But you can't switch on to that because one moment you sort of look over and then someone kicks the ball near you. But tough one. But we'll be all right. We'll bounce back. It was a close game. I think the pod might have helped, like my abuse on the field as well, because like I feel like people. I used to be annoying, right, and then like nose people up or do something, and people would want to fight me. And I think people might have seen this. Not everyone, obviously, because some people are still not like me. But I think some people have seen this podcast and gone, actually, he's not quite the tosser we thought he was. And then they're like, "You're right, mate." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right, actually." So I think it's actually helped I wasn't in too many scuffles at the weekend. Hey, listen, I didn't get a meat pie like this fella over here, top scorer at Bristol, eh?
That's when you know the KPIs are down, eh?
Mate, talk us through it. What, 50 metres was it?
Oh, it was a real purist try, a fat boy's try, a real sausage roll over. I was happy to go to the bakery though and get it. It was a good time. I haven't done it for a while. It was my last try actually was so similar to it. It was back at London Irish. Man, it's been like 10 years. Just realised it's been 10 years since I scored in the Prem. And it was just a pick and goo. I had Nathan Hughes attached to me. Lovely bit of meat just to push me through. Because the first few pick and goes we had against them, they were very, very testy. We were getting pretty smoked backwards. And then I was like, I'm going to go direct up the middle. So I just went for it and ducked under, I think it was Willis and Gabriel Ogre. Yeah, naughty, purist.
I'll ask you a question. You'll be able to answer.
Go on then. Yeah.
Where's Semi, mate? Where is he? Is he in Fiji? Is he doing what my old mate? Is he doing what my old mate Leone Nakarawa does? Just turns up whenever he wants.
Has he gone AWOL? No, he's at the club.
Oh, he is. He's back.
Yeah, he is. He's rehabbing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I saw he released that. I saw he pump a couple of things out on Instagram a couple of weeks ago about these NFTs, and I thought he'd just maybe made it and thought, right, I've got enough Ethereum to live in Suva, job free, just sit about. He's back at the club. He's all right.
He's back at the club. He's back in the lab. He's sharpening the axe. We need him.
Get him out there. Get him out there. He's some player, isn't he?
Some boy. There
we are. We got the hot drop on that. Then we can release that. Semi's back.
Semi is back. Yeah. No Fijian sabbatical just yet.
Nice detective work there, Ryan. Jack Null mentioned in last week's show it's getting harder and harder to stay at the top. You guys are obviously 2 losses from 2, Max. Do you feel that this is the toughest league that you've ever played in?
Yeah, the Prem's always... I mean, it's only ever got more competitive, hasn't it? Like, especially this year is looking ridiculous. I mean, every team can sort of beat everyone. Now, there's no real easy games. Like, if you're not on form for every game, you're going to be battling. So yeah, it's going to be such a tough year. Like the people who win it this year, the team that wins it this year are the boys. Absolutely.
Right.
I know your next question. Is this the best league in the world? No, it isn't. United Rugby Championship, mate. I'm telling you, we'll give you boys a run for your money. We always do.
Yeah, that's because you guys are always resting all your big dogs during the week. And then you just save them for the championship. Save them for the Europe.
Throw them out there for Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. But every game's a real game over here, old bean.
Oh, mate, drop me out. London Irish, Worcester, Newcastle. Come on.
Oh, wowee. Strong words.
Sorry. So we're adding up to every South African that plays rugby anywhere in the world. We're also adding all of those 3 clubs as well.
That come back to bite me, didn't it? The old Saffers banter thing. They didn't like that, did they? Jesus, man. Yeah, we won't be doing that anymore. Just to park the bus on that one. There are funny South Africans out there. Josh Strauss, one of the most hilarious blokes I know. Hilarious, man. Very funny, man. But some of them have poor banter. It's the same with everyone, all right? So don't be so upset. I didn't realise the South African following was so strong as well. So we'll get onto that later.
So Josh Strauss pinned you up against the wall, did he? But talk to us. So Ryan, from your perspective, Max is there saying it is the best league in the world. Talk up the points for your competition.
Well, every time we come down and play Premiership teams, we do all right. I mean, there's obviously been the ones where we haven't, but European Cup, I suppose it might be seen differently. But I just feel like there's a lot of hype, and a lot of the boys that come up, boys that leave Glasgow and go to the Prem, it's Prem intensity. Here we go, boys, Prem intensity. Most of them end up coming back and going, yeah, it's not quite what you think it is. We play quite a quick brand of rugby, I think, in the United Rugby Championship, whatever you're calling it now. But so we throw the ball about a bit more. I think, obviously, you boys down at Bristol do the same. There's probably more of a spread of rugby down there. But then you've got the likes of like Leinster's and Munster, Ulster, like some strong teams over there. Ospreys back in the day were doing some damage, and Scarlets have been good. So I can't name them all, but we've got some good rugby going on in this league. So I don't know. It's funny the way we see it. I've never played in the Premiership, so it's easy for me to say. But I'm just going off of what some of the boys come back from the Prem saying, going, yeah, it's not all it's made out to be. Top 14, on the other hand, big men.
Yeah, Top 14 is, that's Jurassic Park. But would you say at Glasgow, did they rest the Scottish boys a lot of the time?
No, so I'm not sure what the ruling is now, but it was like you could only play 5 games in a row. So that's all it was. And then once you come back from Scotland, so like no one's going to international camp this week. Like England boys are going into international camp this week, aren't they? No one does that. I mean, we just wait until a week or so before the autumn test coming up, and boys are going to take camp then. And then when they come back, if they played a lot of game time, they'll probably have a week or 2 off, and then they're straight back in. So they're not rested a massive amount. We've got big old squads. I don't know. Glasgow always hit pretty hard, but with these new rules, we're not playing league games over the November tests. Yeah. So that's going to help us a bit more. We used to lose 14 to 15 players to Scotland for that. So we had to have a big backup squad. But we probably, throughout the season, used 50 to 53 players, I'd say, throughout a whole season, which is a lot of players.
Right, it's time for the second instalment of Max's book club, where Max reads out a segment from a famous player's autobiography, and Ryan has to guess who wrote it. Here we go. Take it away, Max.
Some of the younger guys weren't making the squad at the time, so they'd go and play All-Ireland A-League rugby for their clubs. They must have felt frustration over that, and sometimes it came out. If they drove the first choice forwards back in a maul, there were fist pumps into faces and choice words. I could never let them have that moment. Even if it was Stephen doing it, one of my best mates in the squad, I had to come back with something. Save it for the AIL, kid. Save it for the AIL. It used to kill him that I was so horrible, but for me it was like fighting with your brother in the back garden. You couldn't bear the idea of him beating you at anything. We knew Hickey might occasionally penalise us, but conceding a penalty wasn't the end of the world in training. One day I was at the front of the mall and Trevor had fallen out the back of the other side. He was 6 or 7 meters away, lying on the ground. But he got up, ran straight at me and hit me with a shoulder straight into the side of my head. I went for him. I had him pinned down. I said, Trevor, I could beat your fucking jaw now if I wanted to. He wasn't one to back off, was Trevor. Go on, son. Go on, son. He threw a punch at me from the ground and caught me in the face. At this stage, Wally was on my back trying to break it up, warning me not to retaliate. For a long time in those training games, I had a switch. I'd start playing more on the edge of the law or over it. I wasn't too bothered by somebody shooing or stiff-arming me. But if they'd punched me, I wouldn't stop digging until I was pulled off them. Even if the dig hadn't hurt much, I'd have the word or the last word. There would always be a handshake after training, and there was never any bad blood. But I used to go home feeling bad about losing it and throwing punches at my friends and teammates. I loved it when there was a fight, and I wasn't involved because I could enjoy it, not to have come away feeling like I'd let myself down. I remember trying to decide for a couple of seconds whether to hit Trevor back. As I was thinking about it, I had Wally in my ear. He knew what was going through my head. He'd seen it before. Parley! 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 But it was too far gone. So bang, I headbutted Trevor. Straight away, I knew Wally was disgusted with me.
Surely you've got to take his name out of there.
I know, it's gone away, really, hasn't it?
I had no idea up until that point. Oh, mate, I've got Rory Best in there. I'm trying to think of old players. I'm like, Trevor, who's Trevor? And Trevor Brennan, maybe a thought came to mind. I'm like, who's Wally? Who's Wally? Okay, like, just who is Wally?
David Wallace.
Right, okay. And yeah. I'm going, Rory Best wouldn't be at the front of them all. And I'm going, Peter O'Mahony fighting. But yeah, Paul O'Connell, obviously, because you said Parley. The next time we need to beep those bits out.
Yeah. Beep. My favourite memory of Paul O'Connell's that one with Cudmore. Do you remember when Claremont went to play them and he's like, Cudmore's trying to scrap him and he's like appealing to the ref, being like, look at this clown, he's he's trying to swing at me. And then Paul O'Connell just ends up, one of them gets through and connects with him, and then he just ends up filling him in front of the ref. It was world class. It was just the most hard man thing I'd seen. I was like, oh my God, look at that ginger giant just maiming that huge Canadian. That was meant.
That's two big men, eh?
That was two very large and in charge gentlemen just clanging and banging. I was like, this is a rugby. Yeah, that was great times. That's one of the best memories I have of him just watching as a kid. I was like, this is class.
Here we go. Another car park interview. Here we go.
Here we go, fellas. Not just a car park interview. I'm outside Royal Berkshire Hospital.
Oh, here, congratulations is in order.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks.
Many congratulations.
Cheers, boys. Baby boy born this morning, Alfie Phillips. So should cause all sorts of chaos, hopefully.
Number 1, number 10, what is it?
Well, I mean, officially number 3, but who knows? Who knows? But no, number three. First boy. We had two girls to begin with, and now the boy. So just complete the set.
Hey, get in there, get in the labour ward. I want to see some.
Just see some carnage kicking off.
Oh no, I don't want to see that again. I've been there 4 times, mate. Horrible place to be.
Yeah, exactly. World of play.
Delighted to welcome on the show ex-Harlequins, Newcastle, Gloucester, Stade Francais, and ex-England Sevens captain, a former World Sevens Player of the Year, and multiple Guinness World Record holder, Ollie Phillips. Ollie, thanks for joining us. Are you happy with your introduction?
Phenomenal. I mean, what an intro. I mean, I'd like you to do it backwards and then just see how we go, just to really test that out. But when as PR stunts go, that's epic. So, I'll record that and use that everywhere I go.
You started to excel in rugby while studying at Durham University. Every university rugby club built on its initiation. Can you tell us what you had to do to qualify for Durham Uni Rugby Club?
Oh, Jesus. I mean, obviously, this is not now the status quo, obviously, at Durham, because they would not be delighted that they were in these sorts of lights. But yeah, I mean, you cut me open, I bleed purple. But some of the initiations were the flaming arsehole. Have you heard of that bad boy? Has that been introduced before on the show? I don't know. But so you measure a bit of bog roll from your elbow to your wrist. You neatly hang this from in between your clenched butt cheeks, and then given a dirty pint. And you're not allowed to put out the flame before you finish said dirty pint. But obviously, they're meant to light at the bottom. They never do. They light it halfway up. So it's a quick frenzy and a frantic flurry at the end, just to make sure you don't singe too many hairs.
Bog roll goes up quick as well. The bog roll goes up very quick.
Exactly. Max, I'm assuming at Bristol this is customary now. Or is it now just protein shakes and whatever else before you kick off with Big Pat?
Just that's it. You know how it is, man. Just straight business.
Straight business.
But you must have, Ryan, Max, you must have some sort of initiation that you've had to go through that maybe didn't involve kindling up your ass, but something else.
Oh,
yeah, we've had a few, but let's go back to one. It's not about that.
Look at that. We didn't start the fire.
Mate, less about us. This man's played at Stade Francais. I want to hear stories.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, let's go. Okay, right. Let's move on. At Durham, you were playing for Harlequins A team before then moving to train with Newcastle. I seem to recall there was a misunderstanding with what the academy coach was offering you in terms of a trial.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be bold as brass as these sorts of things, haven't you? So I'd been going up and down for Harlequins. I was sort of basically totally messed up all my A-levels. I was predicted like AAB, came away with BBD. So it wasn't sort of the best outcome in terms of forecasts and delivering on predictions. But I
wonder if you're setting your arse on fire every week, mate.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe should have spent a bit more time focusing on the literature rather than setting it all up in flames. So then I sort of ventured up to Durham, and because they stupidly and fortuitously let me in, and was travelling up and down, and realised pretty quickly that this is not going to work. 4.5 hours to go and train for an hour and a half was not that constructive, really. So sort of bagged it in, and then the head coaches for the 21s at the time from Newcastle used to come down and watch us play at our university games on a Wednesday night. And I'll never forget a guy called Paul McKinnon, who was nicknamed the Moth, came over after and said, "Oh, Ollie, playing well. Like, I've seen you sort of scored a few tries. Good stuff for Durham. we should have a look. Maybe you come out to training sometime. And I took that as, well, next training session, he obviously wants me to come up to training. So they used the 21s used to train at like 6 a.m. in the morning. I don't know why, but that's when they used to train on a Tuesday and a Thursday. And there's a couple of lads at Durham, one lad in particular, a back rower, who ended up playing for Leicester and Newcastle, England Saxons, a guy called Ben Woods. And I sort of said to him, I said, look, Woodsy, the Moth said I should come up to training. Can I hitch a lift? So up I went, Woodsy. We were there early. All the boys out in the field. Moth wasn't there, so under the floodlights, freezing cold, was sort of playing walking touch and pissing around waiting for him. And the Moth turns up, and he's like, "He's a Kiwi." He's like, "Oi, come over here, mate." I was like, "That's Australian," but anyway, he's a Kiwi Australian.
Yeah, we're bad at accents as well, mate.
Exactly. And he goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, you sort of told me to come to training. Like, I'm here training ready." He goes, "Like, no." I said, like, it'd be nice to have you at training or something, in the future. But I was like, oh no, like it's one of those like awkward shit situations. And luckily, in that training session, he said, look, I'll stay. One, because I couldn't get back. So Woods was giving me a lift. He said, might as well train. So I trained in that session, and the lad who was going to start on the wing that weekend pulled his hamstring in training. They didn't have anyone else. They said, Ollie, you might as well play on the weekend as you're here. We'll give you a run on the wing. And I hadn't played wing ever. And as I played centre at Durham, and then I ran on the wing, scored a hat trick. And they said, well, we can't drop you this week. And I scored a hat trick the next week, hat trick the week after. And that was the end of the season. So I did 3 hat tricks in a row. And then Rob Andrew said, who's that old grey-haired badger running around the field that looks like he's won a raffle to be here? Like, we'll have him in for pre-season. So I went in for pre-season, and that was it. Never looked back.
Yeah, how good's that?
So the message out there is, people, just invite yourself to training, turn up.
Just turn up.
Get a spot. Yeah, just turn up, get a spot.
Love that.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Gospel story.
You were playing alongside Johnny Wilkinson in that back line for Newcastle. We all know what a special play he was. Was he any good on a night out?
Oh,
absolutely pathetic. I mean, you definitely don't. I mean, you don't want him on a night out at all. I mean, unless you're basically wanting to sort of sit in the slips. Like, get him to talk to a bird. It's incredibly boring. Then eventually, after about half an hour, he's like, oh, hello. I'll steam in with a tiny bit of like relatively reasonable chat and win the day, win it over. So
right, well, hold on. Whilst we're on that, is this what you wear when you... Is this what you wear when... Can you see this? Mate, are they red loafers and... Mate, that's a boot cut chino as well. A pink boot cut chino.
And Ryan, I know there's no socks been worn with that as well. They go naked. They're naked on the toes. Yeah.
Very Mediterranean.
We have a few fashion faux pas in our life, and that was
we do.
Clearly not one of them, but there we go.
That's incredible. I love that. Respect. Big respect.
Thanks, boys. Yeah, there we go. So that was all the fun. Yeah, that was actually a charity event that I hosted, and everyone came. I said everyone's come fancy dress. No one did, and nor did I. But I just looked like I did. I'm actually moving, lad. I'm going to move. It's just started to absolutely tip it down. So I'm going to go.
Mate, get in the bus stop. Get in the bus stop.
Yes.
Genuinely, look. Here's the bus stop, and I'm going in it. I'm in the bus stop.
Oh, how good!
Look, I've just had a baby boy, 6 hours old. I'm sitting in the bus stop on the pissing down road. Thanks to you, lads. Love it.
Oh, amazing. Well, Ollie, look, we'll keep rattling through your career progression. You were progressing nicely at Newcastle. You then had an opportunity to make your international debut in Rugby Sevens. Weirdly, wasn't for England. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't invite myself along to this one, thankfully. But yeah, I mean, this is a cool story. So basically, when the World Series goes around the world, they for the teams that are miles away, Fiji, Samoa, New Zealand, Australia, they if they get any major injuries, they can't fly someone in lastminute.com. So they need what's called the 17th team. So they select a load of young lads that are playing, typically probably from London-based teams, so Irish or Harlequins or whatever, and you all sit on the 17th team. And the principle is that if someone goes down, if they get all the way down to eight players, they're called on the 17th team. And it never ever happens, right? Nothing ever happens, and you basically sit there for the whole weekend, twiddling your thumbs, desperate for an injury, but nothing happens. Cut a very boring story short. Fiji got to the semi-finals, down to 8 players. So like, we need to call on the 17th team. So they come to the 17th team, and I was like, well, they're not going to pick me. They're going to pick some other lad, surely. We're all sitting there. I remember there was a lad, London Welsh, Dan Connolly, and he was like, the proverbial off a stick. And for some reason, they didn't pick him. They picked the raffle winner, the grey-haired badger in me. And they said, oh, we'll have him. And this is gospel truth. So I turned up. I go into the Fiji change room, and they've got like Vunimbaka, Sarevi, all these greats of the game, all sitting there with them. And they're playing New Zealand in the semi, who have got Cullen, Lomu playing for them.
Mate.
Honestly, it was unbelievable. And there was I. And they gave me my kit, and they had a 3XL top and 2XL shorts. I mean, I looked like a windsock, basically. Like running. So the Fijian windsock that was Ollie. And obviously, there's all these like huge unit Fijians, and then this little scrawny 17-year-old white lad in dressed as a windsock. So anyway, they play the game. Everything happens. They get an injury in the first half, so they're down to 7. They've got no one else. I'm like, okay, like next injury, I'm on. Like, there's no one else to come on. Or they probably think, actually, we're better off playing with 6 here rather than playing with 7. Bricking myself on the sidelines. 2 minutes from the end, can't remember who it was. One of their forwards goes down for Fiji. New Zealand got a scrum 10 yards out in the middle of the field, and there's no one else. So they go, Ollie, you're gonna have to go on. So I run the field, and they put me on the wing. And as they put me on the wing, they swapped whoever was on the wing. Must have been Vunimbaka. They put him in the forwards, and I'm still on the wing. And I watched New Zealand swap Lomu to my wing. Obvious, right? I mean, they need to try to win the game. Who's this windsock? Lomu runs over anyone anyway. I think he scored like 19 tries in the weekend so far. So anyway, I know off the scrum, ball's coming out, it's going straight to him, and it's game over for me. Like, I'm just going to be a human speed bump. It's nice knowing everyone. Like, my defining moment in rugby, play for Fiji and get killed playing for Fiji. Anyway, ball goes to Lomu. And I promise you, he had like 30 yards outside, 10 metres from the line. And the bloke was a legend and ran back into the forwards. And I remember thinking, I've done you, mate. I've done you. I'm in your head. I've done you. Anyway, New Zealand won. They killed us. And as we walked off the field, we're all clapping and whatever else like that. And they go down the tunnel. And I sort of then wander around like a lemming in spare part because Fiji are out. I don't know where to go. I'm dressed as a windsock. And Lomu comes out of the changing room, and he signed the ball and gives him the ball. He says, "Good lad." So I can't remember exactly what he said. Like, basically, "Good lad, front up, like good luck for the rest of your career," or whatever else. And I still have that ball to this day, sitting above
cool.
my. What a legend! So yeah, mate, that's an iconic moment. Plus, totally bricked myself. So there we go.
That is so good. What a story, man. That's amazing.
So officially, my first ever cap was for Fiji, fellas, not for England. So there you go.
God, I'm jealous.
Special cap.
It's a hell of a fact.
Well, Ollie, you were England's most successful England Rugby Sevens captain of all time. You led them to 3 World Series victories. Of all of those incredible successes, which one goes down as the greatest and why?
I mean, it's pretty tough, right, to top. We beat New Zealand at Twickenham in extra time, and that was pretty special. To do that, come back from where we did. Dan Norton sort of scored an absolute belter, and I think that was right up there. But all-time high is winning in New Zealand. Like we did the same thing, same year, a bit earlier on. We beat New Zealand in Wellington in front of 50,000 people. They went 19-0 up at half time. Sorry, they went 17-0 up at half time, and we beat them 19-17 on the hooter. And mate, I can tell you now, you could hear like a pin drop in that arena. And it was made even more special because before this, I'd made this sort of, I don't know how I'd done it, but I created this like stupid habit of every trip that we went on, we'd try and make it a unique experience. So like when we went to Dubai, I'd met some bloke who had this unbelievable yacht, and he'd taken all the lads out. We jumped off this yacht and had a wicked day, and then we ended up reaching the final for that one. And so I sort of made this point of trying to do it in every port. And when we got to New Zealand, I'd organised with the Harley Davidson owners group to come and pick the lads up on our day off on the Thursday. So I thought it was going to be like 12 bikes turn up. We'll all go for a little pootle round New Zealand, round Wellington, and they'd do us a bit of a sightseeing trip and whatever else. Anyway, 38 Harleys turned up in the reception foyer in front, all like full leathers, skull and crossbones. I mean, it looked like the mob had just turned up ready to have a tear up in our hotel in the centre of Wellington. And we didn't have any other clothes. We're all dressed like total idiots with England like stash, England written across our backs. I mean, the Kiwis already hate us with a passion as it is, but like we're just making matters worse. Do this epic trip around the whole of Wellington, and as they drive back down the main street of Wellington, they all rev the absolute crap out of their motorbikes so loud that they set off every single car alarm as we go down the main street of Wellington. So we've obviously, not endeared ourselves to locals whatsoever, pissed them off even more. So as we run out for the final against New Zealand, they played like Dad's Army. They were chucking basically bottles of warm yellow lemonade all over us, whatever that was. It was just so hostile. And obviously it killed us at the beginning. We were 17-0 down. It was all over and over. And then we pulled it out of the bag. And it's the only time England have ever done that. One in New Zealand, turned them over. And to do it against the ABs as well was, it was just so special. And I remember we went out afterwards and Rob Vickerman dressed up as Duff Man, the Duff Beer Man. So, I mean, really remaining sort of inconspicuous. But yeah, exactly, like a total knobhead. And we go out, and I thought, oh God, like as we walk in the centre of town, it's such a wicked atmosphere after Wellington. The whole of the town is out in the mixer. And as we walk in, we're obviously all in our England polos, got nothing else. I'm thinking, we're just going to get filled in here. And these 4 Maori lads walk over to us, massive. I think, I'm dead, right? And this lad just walks over and he goes, fair play, sticks his hand out, shakes us by the hand, and then they buy it. They walk into this bar, and the bar won't let us buy a drink for the rest of the night. It was just epic. Like, I mean, work hard. They give us stick right up to the final whistle, but if you play well and they think you play well, there's all sort of respect given. So it was class. So that, in a long-winded way, New Zealand, beat New Zealand in Wellington. That's the highlight.
This is the perfect time to bring up the time that you joined Stade Francais. You win Best Overseas Player in 2011. Talk us through your time living in Paris with a certain James Haskell.
Oh, mate. I mean, even how that one, actually, you know that story about New Zealand? That's how Stad came about. So I got this call. I was down at Durham watching like the Durham charity game or something in November. And I got a call from this Aussie bloke. He was like, Ollie, mate, this is Ewan McKenzie. I was like, what? He's like, I'm head coach. He went on to be like head coach for Australia, right? But he's like, head coach of Stade Francais, we've been watching you. We'd like to have a look at you. And at the time, Jeff Parling had been ringing all the lads and pretending to be John Wells and telling them that they'd been picked for the England squad.
Mate, I'm doing that.
Mate,
I'm doing that.
Danny Hipkiss was hook, line and sinker on it. Like, thought he got picked and wasn't, right? So anyway, so on the phone, I was like, yeah, of course it is, mate, whatever. And put the phone down on him. Like, yeah, of course it is, Jeff, and put the phone down straight away. And then I remember thinking afterwards, oh, maybe that was you, Mackenzie. But anyway, I didn't think any more of it. We did Dubai and South Africa, went to New Zealand, played in New Zealand, won. I got player of the tournament in New Zealand. And afterwards, when we're on the pitch with those Maori guys, Ewan McKenzie rang me and said, Ollie, look, we've been watching you. We're really impressed. We'd like you, when you come back from New Zealand, to fly to Paris to meet Max Guarzini, the owner. So I was like, what? Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Mais oui, très bien. Après-moi, la deluge, pulling the old Del boys out. Anyway, so I remember I got on a train, went over to meet Max, and God knows what he must have thought about now in hindsight. So I was trying to speak to him in French and sort of show that I was really up for the culture and embracing it. And he must have been totally lost. But anyway, he met me and they decided to sign me in, so joined. And I rang Hask because he'd obviously signed, and he'd signed, he'd clearly signed on Hask money, and I clearly signed on my money. So I knew he was in like a 4-bedroom house in the Champs-Elysees, and I was busking with some lad on the metro. But I said, look, I said, Hask, what's the score? I'm single, you're single. Like, do you fancy? And we'd known each other from the England setup a bit, so we just moved in together. And as I said, we just went all out. I mean, it was totally unnecessary. I mean, who the hell needs, as 2 young lads, a 4-bedroom house just off the Champs-Elysees? But I mean, we did. And my God, did we make use of it. It was what an epic 2 years, unbelievable club, amazing experience. And yeah, I mean, some of the stuff, I mean, Haskell as a character, has he ever been on the show, you boys, or not? But if not,
Nah, it's too big time. He has his own one, mate.
you got to get him on, fellas. But it was just amazing to live with him. Honestly, 2 years living with that bloke was like 20 for most people living with someone. Just a hero, absolute hero.
Ollie, there was a night that hero. You're calling him a hero, but there was a night he shamed himself a little bit with some dancers.
Well, I mean, there's most nights where there's a lot of nights where we shamed ourselves, but we used to play this game called Snap, right? So it's a game that Haskell and I sort of created, but you can basically, he and I would go out to people and say, you can tell us the name of any famous person you like, and with like clicks of our fingers, we would be able to do it. So we went out this one evening with, I'm presuming this one you're talking about, mate, Marky, which is the crazy horse, the sort of Moulin Rouge, yeah. Well, this is a good story. So anyway, we all go out with all these Moulin Rouge crazy horse girls who are like beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and obviously they're all passing around, elegant, amazing. There's two sort of like Hask loves dressing in rascal gear, so we had like Gucci shoes on with Gucci belt, and then probably like a sleeveless top or no top, something like that. Yeah, probably like that. So, and we go to. In the Bois de Boulogne, there are these clubs called the I can't remember, Ile de la France and then the Bagatelle. So these amazing like summer clubs that go on in the middle of when summer's on. Anyway, all these crazy horse Moulin Rouge girls with us and all the lads from the club. So everyone's sort of trying to play a few shots and trying to get amazing. And Hask's French wasn't that great at that point. So he was sort of getting a bit more frustrated and that he wasn't getting a look in and he wasn't being able to sort of have any banter with these birds and whatever else. So he decided that he would turn to his modus operandi, his go-to, which was obviously the fact he looks like 6'4", blonde, just beautiful powerhouse. So he's like, right, I show my strength, my physical prowess. So in Paris, like if you are the lead dancer for the Moulin Rouge, for the Crazy Horse, you're like this icon in the city. And so she's there. She's the lead dancer for the Crazy Horse. So she's there, and Haskell's like, right, she's the one. She's the one that's going to fall for the Haskell charm. So he's bantering around and sort of like, yeah, mange tout, or whatever else, some more sort of graphic, horrible descriptions he would give, right? But anyway. He grabs this girl and he said, like, the launch, the line out, the lift, I can lift. So she's like, oh, yeah, wee, like flitting around with her hand or whatever else. And anyway, Hask then goes, no, I'll show you. So he grabs her, this girl, and I'm not joking you. She's only, 55 kilos or something, piss wet through. He hoys this girl up in the air, like, absolutely. I mean, she goes so high. No. She comes down with fucking snow on her. Like, she's so high. And I'm like, it's dark. It's like 1 a.m. If anyone's seen James Haskell play, he was very talented at a lot of things, but high balls was not his speciality.
Oh, no.
So this girl goes up. And as she comes down, I'm like, he's nowhere near this. And as he goes to catch her, she completely goes through his hands. And she goes, like, all fours, hands and knees, like cuts all the skin off her hands, cuts all the skin off her knees, sort of starts a bit sort of, and the whole joint stops, like gosh. And as she drops to the floor, one of the French boys who has been giving shit to one of the espoirs, the junior lads, swoops in alongside her, spins some French charm, and takes her home that night. And Hask is sat there ruining his mistake because he shelled out, I don't know, like €500 in drinks for this girl all evening and thought this was the crowning glory, the moment it was going to work, where he hoyed her up and performed the most perfect Crazy Horse lift. And it came down with snow and grazed knees.
Oh, my
so there you go, boys.
Ollie, was there a fruity initiation at Stad?
Oh, mate. Well, I mean,
here we go.
There was.
Is it an urban legend?
Yeah, the old.
Yeah. Well,
it's
you're Max. You're referring to the pizza parties that happened with Max.
Yes,
he got invited to You got invited to his house, and I mean, you had lots of toppings that you could choose from for your pizza. But
Tell me it happened.
No comment. But then, in terms of initiation, I remember we went to Teen for our pre-season, and anyway, at the end of it all, what I realised about living in France is the French boys are good crack, but they just cannot take their piss. Like literally, 3 beers, 4 beers, and all the wheels fall off.
Scrapping.
Oh, not scrapping, mate. Well, I mean a couple of like Sylvain Marconnet, for example. He would be scrapping. I mean, he's just meathead prop. Like you sort of like go up, and his way like turns of a dim and would be to like nut you in the nose. Yeah, I was like, mate, I met you for like a week. Like that's not how I want to sort of remember you by. But anyway, they did this, and they all get a bit weird. And God rest his soul now. But like Christophe Dominici was our coach at that point. He was our head coach. And he was an icon for Stad. So we go to Teen. Domi knows everyone around France, and he's a god. They love him for what he did in that World Cup, and he was just a class player as well. But so anyway, we're in Teen, going to this bar. He's getting everyone absolutely steaming, and then all the boys, they start like slapping their Max is with us, and they start slapping their knees and going at Max. So I was like, what the fuck are they doing this for? What's that all about, man? Why are they doing? And I'm obviously like, you want to fit in, so you're doing it too.
Dodgeball. Is that not dodgeball?
Yeah, right. Anyway, it turns out they're doing it because Max has got a serious length on him, apparently, right? So that's what I mean. We're like 3 beers down, 4 beers down, and I'll never forget Simon Taylor, the number 8 from Scotland, was at Stad, and he'd been there for a while. He just leant over to me and said, "Look, this is the time where we Houdini." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Smoke bomb, we're gone." So I was like, "All right, well, let me just hang around for like a minute or so.
I don't want to miss this.
Let me just see what happens. So anyway, the next thing I know, like Max has come in from the loo, pants down, totally like totally bolloco. I'm like, what is going on? And then they all sit around a circle to do like a ring of fire, and apple bobbing, which I didn't really understand, but they had apple bobbing and some forfeit game. And Max stands in between 2 of them, Domi and Marconnet, and Marconnet is there with his hand like just holding Max's piece through the whole of this court session. And I was like, bear in mind, lads, I just come from Newcastle, right, where we got like 5 men and his dog turned up. I mean, you're an utter fool if you got naked anywhere at any time, right? So I mean, and the Geordies would stand for nothing like that. So I was like, Jesus Christ. And I saw Simon Taylor, he's like, "I told you so. Smoke bomb and get out of there." So I was like, so I had quickly sort of did a Craig David rewind out of the ring of fire and left and went to my room. So I can't comment what happened after that, but I just knew it was getting slippery.
Get me back to Durham and stick toilet paper up my arse and set fire to me, please. Quick. Somebody set fire.
Anything I could do, just let me out of this.
Oh my God.
Were you talking about the Stad owner, Max Kazani? There's a story. Can you maybe comment that he enjoyed coming into the showers for a peek at the lads? Other weird things you witnessed him do?
Oh, mate, it's just, I mean, so the backstory for Max is, honestly, he is one of the pioneers of the game, right? He basically took Stad from like the doldrums, and he's this gregarious gay guy that had made a boatload of money through a radio station called NRG, which is the biggest radio station in Europe. Sold it, made a load of money, and then he decided that he wanted to put the pink pound in rugby. So he created the Jeu de Stade calendar, which is the Gods of Stade calendar, where all this naked calendar, which is still to this day the highest selling calendar in the whole of France. So he just brought the pink pound into rugby. Played in pink, but had all the Galacticos and whatever else. So our first game, I'll never forget it. We were playing at Stade de France. As I said, we played in front of 5 people at Kingston Park, and we played 80,000 at Stade de France. So played Perpignan in the centre of Paris. Massive fanfare. Like Haskell and I walk out of the tunnel. There's 40 women from Moulin Rouge, all lined up either side, and these huge like feather boas with their boobs out and
Raised knees.
Yeah, and
From
Grace
getting thrown around.
Grace knees, yeah, Grace knees, war wounds everywhere, looking horrible. But so walk out onto the field, and they've got like a wrestling ring in the middle. There's a big wrestling fight going on, and all these motorbikes jumping over the top of the ring. I was like, what is this? Light show at the end. So nuts, absolutely nuts. Anyway, we win the game, come into the change room. Max comes in, all the boys getting excited, doing the as he comes in. So I knew what that was entailing at that point, right? But obviously, Max, the boys are in the shower. He's sort of prancing around like, oh, salut les gars, comment ça va? Like, spending too long in there. Like, Max, stop cock watching for God's sake. Anyway, because he owned the radio station, he knew everyone in the world of entertainment, music, and whatever else. So this time against Perpignan, he brings in Madonna into our change room. So I'm like, Madonna, what? Like, as I said, like the best thing we've had in Newcastle is Jimmy Five Bellies walking or something like that. But so Madonna walks in our change room. I'm like, is that genuine Madonna? Like, what's happening? And all the boys get excited. So Parise, Pascal Pape, never forget, he starts prancing around going, oh, like a virgin, woo, woo, like running around, prancing to it. So they all get into, back then in 09, we still had the communal bath or whatever afterwards, which I hadn't seen for donkeys. I hadn't seen anywhere in my playing time, but at Stad they still had it. So they're all in the shower. Max coming in having a perv. So he brings Madonna in, and she's sort of laughing and prattling around and whatever else. And then all the boys, some of the boys are in the communal bath thing, and the lads start doing the at Max. So Max doesn't need a second invite. So he literally hoists off all his clothes, dives straight in with the lads, totally whammo. And Madonna's left standing there. And so Pape's like, woo, I can't remember, was it Ledesma, or I think it was Ledesma. Anyway, who it was, I can't remember. But picked her up. And she's like, no, wait. So she basically took her trousers and her top off, so she was in a bra and knickers. And she jumped into the communal bath. And I was in the shower, and I was thinking, I can't miss this opportunity. So I just ran, dove head first, and was sort of sitting, splashing around, going like, I'm in here with like 17 sausages and one kebab. That's Madonna, like unbelievable scenes. But yeah, so yeah, that was our first game against Perpignan.
12 years at Glasgow. What am I doing?
Exactly.
Ollie, just a quick one on some of your teammates, or one teammate in particular when you were in Stade Francais. You played with Mathieu Bastereau. Ben Foden famously said he was an arrogant bastard. What was he like when you were there, especially off the pitch?
Well, I mean, that's a sort of fair reflection. I mean, one thing is he used to stink. That's all I remember. They used to call him Basta. In French, gros is fat. So it's in Bastereau. They used to call him Basta Gros, like Fat Basta. And he was unbelievably talented player. But when we turned up, he'd just come back from the World Cup scandal. Oh, not World Cup scandal, but the New Zealand scandal, where he pretended that he'd been beaten up but he hadn't, or whatever. Mugged or whatever. But he hadn't. He'd fallen through and hit his face on a table or something like that. It was too embarrassing to tell anyone. Or whatever he'd done. I had a fight. With one of the boys, didn't he? That was
big Thierry, apparently.
Yeah. Just a fight, yeah, because that was the second installment. It was like, I didn't get mugged. I fell through a table, and then no, I didn't. I just got filled in by Thierry Dusatois. Anyway, we were playing in. I think this is a story on about Marc, but we were playing in the Heineken Cup quarter final against Toulouse. We were playing, and like doing all the final team run or whatever on the Friday before playing on the Saturday, and Basta's starting in the centre. And he's late. He's late coming out on the field. So, and he's when you just have one of those days where your head's not in the game. He's dropping everything. It's like, look, mate, we've got Heineken Cup quarter final the next day. So, and his missus at the time was playing international netball for France. So the boys started getting stuck into him, like, come on, mate, can't catch a cold. Your missus is better than you. Like, should we go get her in? I don't know, she's got better than you have, all that sort of stuff. Like if this is going to be the criteria, that's what they were sort of giving him shit for. And it was actually quite amusing, like quite funny. And he just, honestly, to support Fodes' comment, he just spat his dummy, took off his bib and just walked off the field and refused to come back on. And like, it's just soft, mate. I mean, awesome player, massive unit. Like, and when he wanted it, oh my God, what? He was indestructible, right? I mean, he's playing centre. He now plays 8, right? He's now 8 at Lyon or wherever it is. But, you know, he's just a phenomenal freak of nature. But in his head, just made it absolute tissue. I remember we did any fitness and stuff like that. He just, you know, whatever it was, like make up the bleep test or whatever. He wouldn't even try. He'd get to like level 7, he'd go, nah. Like, oh, the props were running past him. And they'd be like, no, basta, allez, on y va, ensemble. And he'd be like, nah, mate, nah. Like, just walk off. Walk. And then they'd all be like, oh no, don't look after him, basta. He's had a tough time. I'm like, he's not had a tough time, mate. He was a piss dickhead. He got filled in by the skipper because he's being a knob. Like, it's not a tough time. If he'd been, you know, beaten up and molested on a night out in New Zealand like he suggested he was, then fair enough. But he's not. You know, like, so why are we all being like, oh, like pussyfoot around him? But as I said, he was so destructive at times as well that he was one of those frustratingly annoying good players that could have been so much better.
Thank you for all of that, Ollie. Final one for you. You've had an incredible career so far. When you look back on your life so far, what goes down as your greatest memory and then also your biggest regret?
Mate, he's told it. Madonna in the bath while Max is in there with his cock out. That's it, surely.
Yeah,
I'm picking it for you.
Yeah, well, Max has come up to periscope depth and Madonna's swimming around, you know? Yeah, I mean, mate, there was some awesome... I was pretty fortuitous, right? Because if I'm honest, at that point in time, it's weird how your sort of career swings and roundabouts. I reckon at that point in Newcastle, I've been away with England so much that I was probably going to get binned. I reckon at that season, John Fletcher had just left. He was a big fan of me. Steve Bates had come in with Alan Tate. He wasn't a big fan of me. So I reckon there's a chance I could have got binned. And Stade Francais came out of nowhere. And suddenly I went there and had 2 unbelievable years and got voted as like European Player of the Year and all this sort of stuff. So, you know, I think in all like serious stuff, like, you know, highlights, obviously captain England, getting voted as best player in the world, all that sort of jazz. Like they're pretty special. Playing for Stade, unbelievably special. I'll finish on an awesome story, which is a bit sort of sentimental, but so the boys might not appreciate it. But when I was at Stade, like a lot, there was a lad now, Pierre Abadan, who was a bat rower. He was going out with a Bond girl. She was the one that was in Casino Royale that rode the horse along the beach and then was found dead in the hammock. I don't even remember that one, but anyway.
Yeah, black hair.
Yeah, black hair, beautiful. Yeah. So she was sponsored by Dolce & Gabbana. So he invited me in December. It's like middle of December. He's like, mate, there's this fashion party going on in the centre of Paris, just at the bottom of the Champs-Elysees. There's a spare space. Do you want to come? Like, I was like, do I want to come? Cool, what? Like fashion party, centre of town? Yes, all over it in Paris. So go to this fashion party. There's Pierre and his missus, Dolce & Gabbana there. And this, like, now I know who they are, but then I didn't. This who's who of fashionistas around this table. So I'm sat in between a bloke called Louis-Marie Castelberjac and this burlesque dancer called Dieter Von Teese, right? So I'm like, oh wow. Hello. Yeah, so she, mate, Max, you love this, right? After this, and after meeting her, she's now a good friend. She invited me and my mum to one of her shows, right? And I'd never seen one of her shows. So she was doing one in Piccadilly in London. So I took my mum to the show and I see Dieter in like this cocktail glass with all the tits out and whatever else, like beautiful and suggestive. But I'm there with my mum, and Dieter comes over at the end of it, like to my mum, like, "Oh, so lovely to meet you." And you know, my mum can bullshit with the best of them. So she's like, "Oh, what a beautiful, picturesque show," and all this. I'm like, "Mum, like, what are you on about?"
Pageantry.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm sat around this table. She's either side. Lou Marie, her boyfriend's next to me. Dieter's on the side, and around the rest of this table is like Kate Moss, Naomi Campbell's agent, this bloke who makes shoes called Christian Louboutin, Yeah.
The shoemaker, let's call him.
The shoemaker.
The cobbler.
That's what he was,
Yeah.
right? The cobbler. The cobbler. And then there's this one bloke in front of me who's got like shades on, two white gloves, slick white back hair. I'm like, who's this geezer? So bear in mind, this is 9 o'clock in the evening in middle of December. There's a guy called Karl Lagerfeld. So I'm like, I walk over to him, I'm like, I didn't know who he was. So I was like, Karl, like, now what's the gig, mate? Like, if you left like your guide dog at the door, we got like a white stick or something like that. Like, what's going on? Are you okay? Do you need me to cut your food up to you or anything like that? And he's like, no, this is my style. This is my style, baby. So I sit down for dinner. Obviously, they're all awesome crack, great people, but they're all campers or tents. And I sort of, they go around, they come over to take part in a raffle, this auction. They're like, €100 a raffle ticket, but you're guaranteed to win. So I was like, it's not really a raffle ticket, is it? And we've got to pay €100 and we're going to get a prize or something. So I thought, I better do this because it's all for like the fashionistas. I'm here and I'm here for free on Pierre's ticket and whatever else. So I buy this thing, get my prize, and out comes, to be fair, this beautiful set of shoes made by Louboutin. Gold they are. Beautiful red soles under them. Women's shoes, size 6 women's shoes with a clutch handbag in gold. So I'm like, what? And I didn't know what they were. So I was like, what do I want these things for? So I'm obviously hamming it up massively. So I'm trying to put these shoes on, running around the table like, stop chasing me, Kyle, stop chasing me. Anyway, get home, dinner finishes, go home. Haskell like, mate, what's this dinner like? What's this dinner? I was telling me I was with. I was like, and I got these stupid shoes, mate. Like, look at these stupid shoes. And he's like, I've literally tossed them in the bin, the box in the bin. He's like, wait. Just look at these shoes. These Louboutin's famous. So he pulls them out. We look them up online or something. These shoes are $3,000. So I'm like, $3,000? I'm like, well, just flog these. Let's sell them. Sell them. So and then I'm basically like a hopeless romantic, right? So I don't know why, but something in me is like, no, I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep these shoes. And then whoever, is going to be my wife at some point in the rest of my life, like, these shoes will fit. So it's not going to be the girl in Glasgow, but it's going to be someone else, right? These shoes will fit. So I put these shoes in 2009. This was. Okay, fast forward, Christmas Eve, 2017. I met my girlfriend, and I've decided like tonight is the night. So these shoes have lasted like best part. Well, 2018 it was. So these shoes have lasted 9 years. No one's ever seen them, but I've told the story about them, but no one's ever seen them. So I decided this is the night. This is the night where I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to propose. I'd hired this house. I've got all my family, all my wife's, my girlfriend's family, all in the room, all their kids and whatever else. We've done a lovely Christmas Day dinner, lunch. I was sitting there ready. I've written this poem. And this poem's going to be like a minute and a half. The first word I read, I went, just capitulate. It took 8.5 minutes to do this poem. So anyway, it's so embarrassing that one of my nephews came over with a party popper and let off in my face because he was so bored with me sort of bumbling my way through this poem. Anyway, my wife, my missus at the time, knew the story about these shoes but never seen them. So as I sort of finished this poem, it culminated with like, I'd like to ask you to be my wife with this shoe. And as I pull out the box from behind me and I kneel down the shoe, I realised like I haven't checked if her shoe size is this size. I've given it all, I've hammed it all up, and I've given it all the drama. Like, this will be you are the one for me, and this shoe will fit, and and you will. And then I haven't done any due diligence and thought. Actually, I could end up. Sorry, there's a lad playing a piano in the background. Yeah,
Of course, Des. Get back to the bus stop, mate.
Just for effect, right? Yeah, exactly. So I'm literally, my face drops because I'm like, oh my god, if these don't fit, like, how do I get out of this? Because I can't marry her. Like, I've told her the only way I can marry with this woman, the shoes fit. But anyway, I dropped to my knees and I've put the shoe out, and she slides her foot in, and I'm not joking you, lads. It is like a glove.
Cinderella, baby.
Cinderella, Max. And so on our wedding day, with we'd had our daughter first. So our daughter Carol, walked down the aisle with my wife. She wore these shoes for our wedding day. So you asked, Mark, what was like my proudest moment, my happiest moment? It's like obviously Stad and Paris was an amazing like moment in my life, my career, awesome memories, some fabulous stories and what have you. That a different era, a different time, but I just love the crossover of like how that played into my new future of like my wife, my 3 kids now, and whatever else. And as I sit here with you lads on RugbyPass at the Royal Berkshire Hospital, and my son just been born on the 28th of September, it's sort of a bit surreal, but there we go.
So right, man. Oh, main question is: have you checked how much they're worth? Because it might be worth flogging them.
Right, we're going to flog them off. I asked if she wanted for the wedding day. I said, look, lad, right, these are going now. We're selling. They're paying for the wedding. They're paying for the wedding. So.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Oh, mate, honestly, thank you so much for coming on the show, for chatting to us, and for opening up about some incredible stories. And for really what an amazing journey that you've been on. But we really appreciate it. And we look forward to having you back on soon.
Thanks, fellas. I mean, hopefully it goes down well. If it doesn't, then it was nice knowing you all.
I'm saying this honestly, like I don't say this all the time. Genuinely, I reckon the best stories, best guests we've had. Yeah. So awesome, man. And congratulations for the wee man.
Cheers,
enjoy
mate.
him,
Thanks
son.
very much. Cheers, boys. Love your work.
Cheers,
Love
Ollie.
listening to it. So see you soon. Good luck.
Take it easy.
As well, Maxie. Bye, boys.
Cheers, boys.
Sadly, that's all the time we've got left. Thanks for watching and listening. As always, do make sure you like and subscribe. Leave us your comments. Might have the boys read them out next week. Thank you to Ryan, Max, and to Ollie. We'll see you all next week.